For those of you who have watched our channel for any length of time, you know how we like to compare and contrast different bourbons. And we're going to do that again today with the Bardstown Origin Series.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As David said, we're going to be comparing the Origin Series today. We know that the Discovery and Infusion have been out in the marketplace for a while. These are both new. So Jennings, tell us what's special about the Origin Series.
So you've got two different ones. They have three different ones. They have a rye as well. These are the two that we were able to find. The black label is going to be a little different. They're both 6-year bourbons, so no change on that. But the black is going to be a wheated and the white is going to be a high rye. They're about the same price, $50-ish. We weren't able to find them at that price point, so just be aware of that. They're pretty hard to find. But they're both going to have they should have a very different flavor profile. When you start doing that high rye, you get a lot of that spiciness. And the wheat ones, typically, as we know from previous videos and from you guys at home tasting, the wheat ones are going to be a little bit smoother, typically. So we'll see what happens on this.
All right, now David, so this is Bardstown's own juice now.
Correct.
The Discovery and Infusion series have been blends from some of their own juice, young juice, usually around 3 year.
To the right class.
And then they were acquiring and buying juice from other folks.
They were.
Kentucky. I don't believe there was any Indiana or MGP juice in other stuff.
I haven't seen it come across yet.
It could be, but the Discovery series was blending 12 year and some 6 and 7 year type thing, maybe 8 year.
There's like a 13 in there too.
Yeah, maybe a 13 at times. And then the Fusion series was doing 12 and some lower proof years, maybe a 3 or 4 year bourbons as well. So they're doing a lot to play around with this. But the special thing about this is that this is their own juice now.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
And that's
for
a
any
big
distillery.
deal for a distillery that's only been around as long as Bardstown has been. I think we said, was it 2014?
Yeah,
It's either 13 or 14.
Yeah,
somewhere
9
around
years.
there. A relatively new distillery. So, I mean, I love these bottles. We'll try to get a close-up of these, but they've got these cool designs on the back. And so when they're backlit, if you've got, display at your home bar or whatever, if you've got, backlighting or anything like that on it, they look really cool. So
these guys always call me when they find something cool in the wild. They're like, hey man, my phone rings, I'm at work or I'm over here. And they're always like, hey man, I got this, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it was funny because, David...
Have we done that?
Yeah. Have you done it? Yeah.
No.
You've done it a lot. I hate to tell you.
I've been excited about these. These have been sitting on my shelf actually for a while, and I've been itching.
I remember you calling me on this.
Looking all over town for the
You
black
were
label.
freaking out though. I mean, it was like you were really excited. I haven't seen you that excited about a find.
I hope I like it because this may be a huge letdown. I guess we're about to find out.
I mean,
Let's give it a try.
He was more excited about this than he was about Thomas Handy. I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
He was more excited about this, which I'm like, what? But hey, you know what? It's probably going to be great.
We've said you're not always there before.
You may be right. I may be crazy. But
What a
it
great
just
song.
may be a lunatic you're looking for.
That's indeed.
Man, the nose on that black label, the
Unreal.
weird one, is awesome.
Do you get a different nose? We always talk about this in every episode, I feel like. The nose. Do you get any nose
I get a
difference?
little bit different.
Can you smell the difference between the two?
I can.
Okay.
And guys, just so you know, 2 different proofs. The black label here on the Origin series is a bottle and bond, so it's 100 proof.
Ooh.
And the white label is a 96 proof. A little different proof on those two. But man, that first one's not bad.
The nose on the second one is interesting. Like, real interesting.
Like, really smells like bourbon.
No, it doesn't. It has like a butter and then a butterscotch. It's very different.
On this one.
No, I'm on the white one.
Oh, you're on the white one.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting kind of a sweet butterscotchy.
Let me smell it. Which one is this?
That's the black label. That's the
That's this other one. That one's amazing. This wheated one smells amazing.
The taste is, there's definitely a taste difference.
I think the nose
Have you
is
tasted
better.
both?
No, I've only tasted the wheated one. The nose is better than
super
the
smooth.
palate.
Super smooth. Holy moly. Are you getting that at all? Take a small sip. Are you getting it all?
Get a lot of spice on
You
that
getting
rye.
sweet tea? Sweet tea at all?
Off the first one?
Yeah, first one black. I'm getting sweet tea all day.
I can see how you're
Maybe.
getting that, but I'm not getting sweet tea. I'm getting a little bit more of like a kind of that brown sugar. It's a little bit.
I can get on board with that.
It's a little bit similar at least to me, it's similar to like an Elijah Craig.
Well, I've already tasted them both. So you guys taste number 2, and let's see what you think about that.
That's the high rye, the second one. Wow, they're both good, but wow, that's not what I was expecting.
As someone who typically likes wheated bourbons, I'm getting a little bit more enjoyment out of the high rye.
And I am not.
Very interesting.
The back end on that rye is really spicy.
It's
it's
spicy.
probably because we just opened it. Like we talked about in other episodes, if you let these sit for a little bit, air out a little bit, we have a little thing we talked about in a previous one where we kind of blow on the top to blow some of those ethanol flavors out, ethanol fumes out. Try that, but
It's got plenty of spice.
spicy. You get spice on that number 2
I get spice on the number 2.
on the
big
rye.
time. Yeah,
big time, right?
time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now that you went out hunting for these and you went through the chase, you've tasted them both. What do you think?
Not as good as I hoped.
It's as good as I hoped, but I didn't pay for them, so.
So here's the thing too. I think there's some excitement that comes with finding something that you want, but when it boils down to actually enjoying a bourbon, I think that's a very different experience. And we've talked about, we can link to some other videos where we talk about, why we hunt bourbon. We can talk about what, how we got into bourbon, why we like bourbon. And that's something we've talked about in depth. But to me, they're two very distinct experiences. One is being excited about finding something that you were looking for because either you heard that it was great or it was new and you wanted to see what all the hype was about. But then there's also just enjoying a great tasting bourbon. Now, here's something that could have colored my opinion of this just a little bit. Very recently, we were drinking Maker's Mark. Okay. And so when I went from the Maker's Mark wheated bourbons to the Bardstown wheated, there's a huge difference. I think I might like the Maker's Mark better. I think I do too. But this is very different. So I think you have to put yourself in a different mindset when you're going from one to another. Understand that it's not always an apples and oranges comparison.
Yeah, and those makers were had different staves added to them to give them different flavors.
They were finished.
They were finished.
That's right.
I will say
These are
this.
non-finished. So
I love Makers. Yeah. We all love Makers. Mm-hmm. This to me is more smooth than Makers.
Okay.
And the Makers that we tried. So the Makers we tried were like 109. This was 100, so they're close.
Yeah.
This is way more smooth to me than Makers. It's great on the palate. It's very creamy texture. It finishes nice. It's not as long as the Makers, but it's got a great back end flavor.
I agree with the back end flavor.
I think that
finish is good.
I think the creaminess piece of that on this one on the Blake
big time, right? You get that a lot.
I think you get that creaminess and that.
It's a thick, creamy mouth.
Kind of a velvety kind of.
It is velvet.
Yep. I get
velvety,
but I'm also. A lot of bourbon. So we've always talked. I'm a big turkey fan.
We all are.
Yeah, very, very cherry forward on the turkey. And this, no cherry in this really at all. It's for me.
I agree with you on this, Bill.
Yeah,
this may be one of the few times that Bill and I agree.
There's no cherry.
Make a note of that.
I think what I get is the char 100%. And the oak. You can feel that heavy, leathery kind of thing coming through on these. This one with the higher rye is definitely get the heat.
Kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
I typically do like things that are a little higher in rye sometimes.
Yeah.
I think
like the Old Soul is something that I tend to enjoy.
But you got to think too, a lot of this is, it's like with wine. You guys that are wine drinkers and that are watching us right now, there are times when you want a big cab, right? And there's times where I'm like, I want a Pinot Noir. And there's other times where I'm like, I don't know that I want any of that. Maybe I want a bottle of champagne. So I think a lot of this is, there's different types of this for different times of drinking. And these are both really good.
They're good. I will say, comparing these to the Discovery Infusion series, I'm not sure that they step up that well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think for Bardstown having their own juice, having 6-year bourbon at this point. So going forward, they're going to be exponentially adding those a year to it each year as they go now.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how it changes the flavor profile as they go.
The thing that's always interesting for us is we always talk about Weller 107. That's kind of, at least for the three of us, that's kind of our
fans.
Litmus test. Yep. That's where we kind of
gold
compare
standard.
everything. It is the gold label, gold standard, right? But that's where we kind of tend to compare everything. How does it compare against Weller 107, right? So that's ours. You may have one that you really like that you ought to put up against this to see if you like it better. This wheated, for me, if I had somebody coming over to the house and they were just kind of getting into bourbon and they're like, I don't know, this would be one I'd pull out all day because it's not too hot.
The wheated one?
Yep, the wheated because it's not too hot.
It's definitely not too hot.
It's got a great end for sure.
I'd like to, we've talked about it before. I'd like to know how this tastes with a rock in it.
We can make that happen.
I'd like to see how it changes.
We can make that happen right now if you want to do that.
All right, through a little editing magic, we now have a chunk of ice in our glass.
Clear ice.
Clear ice, because Jenny's made this.
I did. We'll actually do a video later on how to make this clear ice.
Now we're trying this in the wheated one. This is the black label that we're putting.
I'm actually trying in the other one first. I'm going to try it in both. I'm a little different than you guys.
Yeah, you've always been a little different.
Man, after that sat for a minute in that ice.
Wow, it's way better.
Way better.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That rye's way better. You get a lot of that rye flavor coming out.
Man. Here we go. David doesn't like it as much now.
I liked it better without the ice. I know.
I will tell you that just a little bit of ice gives it a different tone and a different flavor. And man, that just really makes a huge difference. It takes some of the heat off of the front of it, even though it's a bottle and bond, so it's 100 proof. It's not super hot. It takes a little bit of the heat off of it.
Definitely takes the heat off.
It mellows it off a little bit. I mean, we were talking about it was velvety to begin with.
Is it even more velvet now?
Yeah.
It's very velvety, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in other episodes, but you can add a little bit of like a dropper of water to things and it'll really open it up sometimes. Sometimes, especially in the summer, I don't want to drink hot bourbon. I'm sorry. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave and I go on a lot of hikes together and we get to the top of the mountain. I don't always want like a neat bourbon. Sometimes I want like a cold beer. It's so hot.
Man,
so.
People are going to think we hike drunk or something.
No, we don't. We really don't.
We usually wait till the end of the hike. Yeah.
Taste that now.
Oh, that's way better.
Way better.
Is that in the high rye?
No, that's in the Discovery.
I did the high rye with it. It did change the high rye. To me, it brought more of that, traditional rye spice, like you get like a rye toast. I got a lot of rye toast when I added that.
Is that the rye going in?
That's the rye going in.
Okay.
Buddy, I'm telling you, that goes in line more with a daily drinker to me.
Bill, I'm going to be really upfront with you. I don't know that I need the ice on the wheated for a daily drinker. It's so velvety smooth.
Yeah,
but I like the wheated better without the ice. That's my personal opinion.
Without the ice?
Without the ice.
What about you? It tones it down.
It tones it down. It makes it more of that. It almost takes all the heat away from it.
It does.
Now, you'll learn this about me as we go along in these videos. I am not a huge fan of ice in a straight bourbon. I will only typically put ice in a old fashioned or some kind of bourbon cocktail. I'm that guy. I like bourbon neat pretty much all the time. I like to taste it how the distillers meant for it to be tasted. That's the other reason I kind of like the cask strength. We've talked about that in other videos, how the distillers are always like, I can't believe you guys are drinking cask strength. I love it. I think it's delicious.
Hey, but you know what? We talk about it all the time, guys. Drink it the way you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, toning that down a little bit, even though it's just 100 proof, anything I get barrel strength, full proof, I always put ice in it.
Do you really?
I mean, sometimes I'll drink it after, if it's the second or third, or
fourth.
Or fourth.
No, second or third maybe, but I'll drink. But again, I'm going to put some ice in it and tone it down a little bit. I want to take the heat off of it just a little bit. I mean, I like full strength, but
that's wheat. It's pretty dang good.
That's pretty good with the ice in it, though. I mean, it takes the heat down a little bit, smooths it out a little bit more. I mean, it was already nice and smooth. We both said that it was smooth and velvety to begin with, but it changes the flavor.
Well, it really does change the flavor.
So I think it's helpful if we define smooth. Smooth is a term that gets used, kind of gets tossed around a lot in reference to bourbon and whiskey in general. My definition of smooth is that there is a nice, smooth, even transition between nose, palate, and finish.
Yep.
To where there's not such a diversity between one and the other that it just seems like three completely different experiences.
It muddles,
which is not necessarily a bad thing, because
true.
sometimes it becomes interesting. But I think if I reference the word smooth to describe a bourbon, I usually mean that it had a nice, easy transition from one to the other. There wasn't a great amount of difference. Do you guys agree with that?
So often that term actually means like not heavy on the proof on the nose.
Right.
And that's the reason you'll see us, we talked about it in another episode, blow on the top of the glass when there's no ice in there. Gets that ethanol out of there, so you're not getting that in your nose quite so much. So I think a lot of times when people say smooth, that's what they mean. And what David just said to me, I mean, that makes sense to me. We talk about wine all the time. You got the beginning, the middle, and the finishing.
Yep.
But I think it makes a huge difference. That
Yeah,
is
and
really good.
Yeah, and with me,
mackerel.
when we drink some of these bourbons, the full proofs, the cask strength, stuff like that, you get a big hit of that real heat up front. And so, when I talk about smoothing a bourbon out, putting ice in it and letting it tone it down a little bit, it's taking that burn out. That hug when you drink
Kentucky
a high
hug.
when you drink a high proof bourbon, it's like it really gets you, right?
But I like that burn in the wintertime. I like that burn. I like to sit around a fire and Fireside Fridays, sit around a fire and have a burn. It's nice.
Yeah,
I think sometimes the burn comes from the flavor, sometimes in addition to the proof.
I agree.
You're going to get what I think some people perceive as a burn
ridiculously good.
from a rye. A rye is going to have a spicier, peppery type flavor. Now I just poured the Black Label again.
You did?
Without the ice. And
No ice.
I stand by what I just said. I like it. I prefer it without the ice.
Now, here's a question for you. This is something you guys can try at home as well. In another episode we'll have air later, we'll show how to make some clear ice that doesn't have any impurities in it as far as bubbles and things like that. It looks really cool. But you can take that. I just actually took mine, this one right here, and I swirled that ice in this glass. And you can see it's a little bit frosted. So I got that ice, that glass itself is cold from that ice. So now I was swirling this in here to get it a little bit colder. And I did the high rye.
Right.
So we've picked up a few little techniques from our buddy Robert over at Southside Smokehouse.
He's got some
You should
tricks.
check out some of those episodes. We'll link those right here. But he kind of specializes in cocktails, making cocktails with bourbon and rye. So check those out too.
This is different. I like it.
I am sold on the wheated. The high rye, it takes a little bit of a backseat for me. Not a huge backseat, because I find that spice to be kind of interesting. But I don't know that I would want that often.
I typically like a spice in a cocktail that I'm making. So I typically go to the high rise for a cocktail because it blends itself a little bit of that finishing spice.
Well, it keeps
from
yourself
the
from
rye.
getting overpowered by whatever you're mixing with it in a cocktail.
So what's funny
try
is the last couple nights I've been drinking not this one, but a different rye at home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Different rye?
I've been drinking a rye at home and doing that the last couple nights. So I mean, I enjoy ryes. I enjoy different bourbons and all. I think the ice makes a huge difference in these.
I do.
I think it changes the flavor whether you use ice or you add a little bit of water to it, however you do it. Or drink it just as it comes out of the bottle. Mm-hmm. I think getting it off the shoulder and letting it air out a little bit, letting it sit a little bit, will give it a little bit different flavor profile too. It'll probably calm it down a little bit.
I think this is one of those ones, once you get about a third of the way through the bottle, you need to probably put that preserver in there to get this to quit oxidizing, because I think it's going to change big time.
Yep.
Jennings did an episode on that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we'll link that above. You can actually go check that one out if you want.
Cool.
So anyway,
All right.
thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate you taking the time to spend with us on the channel.
Go try these out.
Give these a
Leave
shot.
your comments and let us know if there's one of these that you prefer, or if you agree or disagree with our thoughts on these.
Wheat.
And
All day.
and if you take the time to compare the Discovery and Infusion series with these as well, let us know what you think about those. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, drink, enjoy, and share.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Here.
I got to pour some more in here.
I know, no joke, right?
I'm going rye.
I'm telling y'all, that weeded is unreal.
It's good.
Better as it's set.
It's better. It's definitely better.
No, I
as
said
it's
it
set.
earlier. You gotta
I'm telling you, the ice
thing
makes it.
sit.
I
You like
was-
that ice, don't you?
I was
ice makes it-
underwhelmed.
Do you like that ice? Did I do okay?
I was a little bit disappointed when I first tasted this, and we
So was
talked
I.
about
I was like,
neck pours.
it's
This has
okay.
got a tiny little neck. This is like a
Yeah.
the Chris Farley neck or something.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Chris Kattan, maybe. Chris Kattan neck. Little skinny thing.
So here, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna swirl it around in here a little bit, and I'm gonna pull this ice out.
There you go.
Just like you were talking about.
Yep. Try that. See what you think.
So they go. Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a cooling effect to the glass itself.
All right, I'm gonna try the rye.
But see, I do it the other way.
that's great looking
The
ice.
heat
by the way.
is
Thank you. Thank you.
the heat is completely gone
On the rye?
on the rye.
I
mean,
agree.
you
It
get the
does
spice.
kill
You
it.
get the spice.
That is so weird.
You got the spice, but the heat's gone.
So I take it and I
I'm telling
swirl
you, man,
it
that's.
and get it really cold.
Is that the rye?
That's the rye. Yeah.
Hold on. Don't taste it. Swirl it
Okay.
around a little bit and then take the ice out.
Oh, he's right. So it quits diluting.
Yeah. So that way it won't keep. Yeah. Now taste it and see what you think about the rye.
Whoa, it tones down that spice big time.
Really?
Huge.
Oh god, now I gotta try that.
I don't think I like it as much though. I think part of the enjoyment is having
Is the
that-
spice?
is
Do you
that
like the
spice.
spice?
Yeah.
There's the back end finish is gone.
True.
It takes the back end completely away.
This is the second time I've agreed with Bill, like in the past 5
What is
minutes.
happening? This is some wild
Bill's
stuff.
improving, clearly.
Let's try this one again. Now that I swirled that, you see what I did? So I took my ice and I swirled it in there, and I got the glass really cold, and then I'm gonna pour it in there.
Well, the more you talk, the warmer it gets.
Yeah, I know, but the more that I stick my fingers in there, the more it's gonna
Is
change
that
the
an old
flavor.
Forester glass?
Which one?
Is that an what
This
kind
one
of
right
glass? No, the one that
No,
Bill
taste
has.
Medicinal whiskey.
Yeah.
Charity.
Now taste it.
Oh, okay.
See if it makes a difference.
Let's see if we can cool this down just a scotch.
I don't think it's the. I
Because
think it's
Old
the ice.
Forester was one of the few distilleries that was able to label their whiskey as medicinal and
Correct.
continue
Taste-
to make it
taste
through
that.
Prohibition.
Ooh, the nose is different
just taste
with it
it.
cooled down.
All right, now taste that. Now I turn the
crap.
glass for you, so you're not drinking more.
I'm not worried about you. That's better to me.
But I put the ice in here.
I know.
Okay,
It
so it
diluted
toned
it too much.
It diluted. Yeah, but I also took. I swirled it.
Smell that.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge difference.
That's so bizarre.
So this is what it's like to just hang out with us if you were just to sit around for
we
like
get a little
I
nerdy.
don't know 3 or 4 hours. It's
Big-
just like this
it's a big
for
difference.
3 or 4 hours until somebody passes out.
No,
Well,
no, not me. I would never do that.
Okay.
Come on. I'm definitely not that guy. This is kind of cool. You guys can see the back of these, by the way. They're very cool. Got some really neat. I'll put them together so you guys can see that.
I know it's silly, but like the shape and the design of the bottle does make a big difference.
And
And
let me-
you're a wine.
man, I
we're
tell
a
you,
wine connoisseur in a past life.
looking through the back,
That's important.
It's
With
gorgeous.
wine too,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
label. I mean, that
All
is yeah.
labeling always makes sense.
And this is going to sound stupid, but I'm that guy. I'm going to say it out loud. I like a skinnier, taller bottle because I can fit more on the shelf. I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's how I feel.
all right. So just since we're going to talk about skinnier,
Since we're going there.
since we're going there, do you guys know why they call alcohol top shelf?
Oh, this is great.
I thought I knew, but I feel like I'm about
You're about to find
corrected.
out.
So if you
We
got-
had this discussion
we,
the other day.
we did
because they couldn't
So
fit the taller bottles on the.
if you look at the different bottles,
Get you a squatty bottle.
so yeah, so
Get you a tall one.
here's a tall bottle.
Get that JD.
Here's a squat one bottle, and here's a Jack Daniel's bottle that's shorter.
The shalloty.
So most shelves are a certain height. The reason they made them top shelf is because they made these taller bottles. And if you look at some of the vodkas and stuff that are out there that are in the real big tall bottles,
Yep.
they had
Grey
to go
Goose,
on the
Belvedere, all that
yeah
stuff.
Belvedere, Grey Goose. They had to go on the top shelf because
they
they
were
were too
too
tall to go in the
Dang,
bottom.
isn't that
So that they
fun?
made that top shelf where everybody could see the top shelf drinks, the bourbons, the vodkas, whatever it was, and that's why they call them top shelf.
That is so
It's
bizarre.
because they would only fit on the top shelf. It's not necessarily because they were the best, but they can only fit. On
I've
one
definitely seen some stuff that was not all that good on top shelves of. I don't know that it had to do with bottle size.
That was in
though.
college,
I think
though. That was a long time ago for us.
Well, but we all know what the bottom shelf stuff
Just a
is
few
too,
years.
right?
Some of the bottom shelf stuff is really good. We've talked about that before. I mean, there's some bourbons out there like JTS Brown,
Yeah.
JW Dant,
Yep.
even Evan Williams. Let me tell you right now, I got a bottle coming. We're gonna have it on another episode. You're gonna want to try. It's gonna be really hard to get, but you guys don't even know about this yet. This is kind of a surprise. So these guys are gonna find out about it later. It's gonna be fun.
Ooh,
It's an Evan Williams bottle you can't get here. It's gonna be fun.
very nice.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here.
Drink, enjoy, share.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Don't cut your finger or anything.
Don't worry.
All right, so I don't want to clean up any blood, so hopefully there's not that.
Hey!
See, we're a little unscripted.
You know what though? It makes it fun.
This may never make it to YouTube. Probably should.
Mazel tov.
Probably shouldn't. We probably should cut this one, but that's okay.